Hello and welcome to the August 19th, 2020 edition of the Carlisle Community Forum. I'm Doug Stevenson, former selectman here in Carlisle, and I'll be your host for today's show. Like so many other aspects of our lives, the forum has taken a brief hiatus from our in-person shows as we have all dealt with and adapted to the coronavirus pandemic. We are pleased to be on the air today, albeit remotely, and we hope to bring some semblance of normalcy into your lives with the airing of this program. Before we dive in, I'd like to take a moment. First of all, to those of you who are suffering, those that have lost loved ones, been ill or isolated, or in any way have been directly affected by the pandemic, we offer our condolences and our support. These are trying times, especially for our seniors, those in their 70s, 80s, and 90s who have seen so much and have endured many tragic and challenging eras in their lives. We salute your endurance and your perseverance, and we stand with you as we all search for any beacon of hope during this difficult time. Secondly, to all of those who through their professions or by volunteering have both large and small ways provided services, support, and comfort, we say thank you. To the frontline medical personnel, first responders, essential workers that have kept our world on track, we appreciate you. As the pandemic has wreaked havoc on our lives, we have seen so many acts of kindness and of caring and of love. Let us all be inspired by those who have shown self-sacrifice and strength. We thank you. Now, I'd like to introduce the panel and guests who are joining me for today's program. First of all, we have Angela Smith, the Carlisle Council on Aging Outreach Coordinator. Angela, we know you as much as anyone have been there for our seniors during this difficult time. You are truly the glue that keeps our elderly population together. On behalf of the entire community of Carlisle, thank you for all you do. Next, our Council on Aging Director, Joan Ingersoll. Joan really jumped into the deep end, taking this position in mid-May at the height of the pandemic. A true challenge for you. Thanks for being on the Carlisle team. We also have Jean Bagnaschi, a stalwart member of the Friends of the Council on Aging. You'll hear from Jean a little later in the program. And today we are very privileged to have with us the Honorable C. William Barrett of the Massachusetts Superior Court. I'll be introducing Judge Barrett shortly for his presentation. And assisting us with production today is another longtime Carlisle resident and consummate volunteer, Chuck Bagnaschi. We're looking to you, Chuck, to keep us on track during this Zoom production of the forum.
Okay, Doug, we lost your video.
Oh, shoot.
We'll edit that out, Doug.
Okay.
There you are.
I don't know how that happened.
Better dark.
I have a face made for radio. So do I need to go back and do anything, or?
Well, what do you think, Angela? We can.
I think that's entirely up to you, Doug. I mean,
where did you lose me?
About 2.5, 3 minutes ago.
Where was I? Or
I think we'll let it go. The audio will run. You'll be okay.
You'll be able to show somebody else's face, or people listening intently to me, I assume.
They can extend your face. It'll be still. You just won't be moving.
Okay. All right. So I just thanked Chuck for keeping us all together. Thank you, all of you, our panelists and our guests, for taking the time out of your day to join us for today's program. At this point, I'd like to turn things over to Joan Ingersoll, our current COA director, for her welcome. Joan, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. Welcome, everyone. And I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to highlight some of the ways that the COA is working hard to keep the seniors in Carlisle connected and engaged and, reduce isolation and try to make the best of what we can do during this extremely challenging time. Hopefully some of you have participated in the drive-in concerts, the drive-through coffee and pastry, the haircuts at the fire station. All those have been very popular. And thanks to Angela's persistence and creativity, we were able to have those events, and we will be continuing to have some in the fall. A couple of new things that have happened that we're extremely excited about is starting on Monday, we welcomed our new social worker, our part-time social worker, to the Council on Aging. And she's available to help all the seniors in Carlisle. She's looking to do some new groups to connect people either through Zoom or some small in-person groups if people feel comfortable with that. The funding for the social worker was thanks to the Concord Carlisle Community Chest and the town, which approved part of the funding for her salary at the town meeting. So we're very excited. That's a position that we've been needing and wanting for a long time. And the team was all involved in the interviewing, and we're really excited about what that's going to enable us to do for the community. Another brand new development as of yesterday were the in-person exercise classes we're running at the fire station. Through the hard work of Angela and the Board of Health and Chief Soros, we're able to have, right now, we're offering 4 classes a week in the bays. Some of them are so popular that we have a waiting list, but of course we're following all the protocols to keep people safe, extreme sanitization and spacing, and everybody's been very cooperative and positive, and we've already gotten some amazing feedback about those classes. So we're excited about that, and we are hoping to add some more as the fall continues. I mean, another thing that I wanted to make sure people are aware of is that the Friends of the Carlisle Council on Aging has increased their funding to us for fiscal year 21, and that's enabling us to expand our emergency support for seniors in need. So that's support with fuel, with food, with emergency car repairs, medical bills, other expenses that people are just not able to manage. We have the capacity to assist people in that way. And I wanted to make sure the community is aware, and you can call us at 978-371-2895, and either Angela or I would be happy to help you with that application. So, I just want to reiterate that we're available. If you want to meet the new social worker, Carol, or speak with her, call the COA, and she's also going to be reaching out to people as she starts to get to know Carlisle. So thank you very much.
So, Chuck.
Thank you, Joan. We really appreciate all of your efforts, especially during these very, very difficult times. So keep up the good work, and hopefully soon we'll be back to normal office hours and normal activities, and we look forward to it. Thank you. And my personal welcome to Carlisle. So I hope you get to see the real Carlisle once we're through some of the effects of the pandemic. Our special guest today is the Honorable William Barrett. Judge Barrett is currently serving on the Massachusetts Superior Court. He was nominated the position on December 7th, 2016 by Governor Charlie Baker. Bill, or Billy Barrett, as we all of us locals know him, grew up in Concord, graduated from Concord Carlisle High School, and attended Brown University. He was a standout athlete at both CCHS and Brown, serving as captain of the football and baseball teams in high school and as co-captain of the football and lacrosse teams in college. In 1988, he received his Juris Doctorate from Boston University and went on to serve as an assistant district attorney in Middlesex County. Barrett was more recently a partner at the law firm of Endale, Barrett, Jacobs, and Moan in Boston, where he focused on complex disputes involving motor vehicle and/or truck accidents, product liability claims, construction litigation, medical malpractice, defamation, premises liability, and business disputes. Judge Barrett currently resides in Concord with his wife, Amy. They have 3 grown children. With that, I'll turn things over to Judge Barrett for his remarks. Welcome, Bill.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm coming from my chambers in the Lawrence Superior Court. I may get a phone call, so I apologize for that ahead of time. But it's almost business as usual from here. We're working through it. I think the courts have done a terrific job of adjusting to the COVID challenges. We have not been able to initiate jury trials yet, but I think that's coming. Not really soon, but sometime I hope in the fall, late fall. And hopefully things will be back running relatively normal by beginning or middle of next year. I do want to say, you know, this has been a really difficult time, and I think the audience out there right now may be somewhat elderly, but who knows? But that's been a real challenge not a real challenge. It's been the real unfortunate results of this pandemic, and that is we can't see our relatives, we can't see our parents, we can't see our kids. And in times of loss, even, we can't do that. And so I just want to say to those people watching out there, we're with you in spirit. We miss you. Personally, I'm experiencing this with my own parents and with some friends who have, you know, not done well with this COVID pandemic. And I want you to just know that we're thinking of you, and we do miss you, and I hope this is over soon. I'm happy to entertain. I don't know if I have any specific things you want me to talk about, Doug, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you or anybody else on the panel may have. Maybe, you know, with the status of where we are in the courts today, something like that. Happy to help.
Sure. Thanks. Thank you very much, Judge Barrett, and thanks for being with us today and your kind words. I have a few questions and topics that I'd love for you to talk about today, and also other members of the panel, if you have questions or thoughts that you'd like to pass on to Judge Barrett, we'll have an opportunity for that as well. So maybe, Judge, you could just talk a little bit about the Massachusetts Superior Court and how it ties into the overall court system in Massachusetts.
Sure. Well, I'm in the Superior Court, part of the trial court of Massachusetts. The trial court of Massachusetts does exactly what the name says. It tries cases, as opposed to the appellate courts of Massachusetts, which don't try cases. They hear issues of law. They hear issues in dispute with respect to interpretations of law. They don't make findings of fact. The trial court proceedings do. That's the difference. The trial court's divided into various sections. There's you have juvenile court, land court, probate and family court, district court, and the Superior Court. The district court and the Superior Court are really the main places where you'll see jury trials, juries of 7, 6, or 12, or 14 or 12, trying cases. And in Massachusetts, the distinction between the Superior Court and the District Court is one of jurisdictional based evaluation. The Superior Court handles any case where the potential prison sentence is 2.5 years or more, or there's a state sentence, a state prison sentence involved. The District Court handles anything that handles a House of Correction sentence of 2.5 years or less. Those would be criminal cases. On the civil end, the Superior Court handles any issue in dispute with parties involving money, where that money figure is over $50,000. The District Court would handle anything where the issue in dispute, meaning the money is less than $50,000. So that's kind of the jurisdictional breakup of where cases get brought to the Superior Court, where I am, or the District Court. Again, but if you have like a probate matter, somebody's died, you need to probate the will, that goes to the probate court. If there's a juvenile that's gotten into trouble in your town, they would go to the juvenile court, unless they're being tried as an adult, which is not likely for a variety of reasons in our setting. But so that's kind of a breakdown of it. And you know, obviously the Superior Court might handle a little bit more severe crimes and issues in dispute that involve a lot more money. So, you know, we have maybe the bigger cases here, but that doesn't mean we're busier than the district courts. The district courts are really, that's the ground level for most of the action in the courts in the Commonwealth. The people in those courts work extremely hard and do a terrific job. They're very busy, and they've been really busy during this tough COVID pandemic.
Great, thank you. Judge, maybe you could talk a little bit about, you know, potentially some issues that might affect seniors as they relate to the court system. And you did mention probate, but perhaps things like either land transactions, some of the other crimes that we see that are often perpetrated towards elderly folks, phone scams and cybercrime, and any other crimes that the senior population should be aware of, and that perhaps you see either at your court level or in any court level in the state.
Right. My involvement in probate matters is very limited, so I can't really speak to that issue. Indirectly, we have issues that arise when there's an elderly individual maybe being preyed upon by, you know, a child or a cousin or a niece or a nephew, and they're getting that individual to sign documents that relinquish control of a property or an asset of some kind, which later, which is not discovered until later on, when that property's been transferred to somebody else, and they're doing a search, and that search comes up like with an unclean title or something like that. So that happens. I see that every now and then, and I don't know the real lesson to be learned there, other than if you are elderly and you're not sure about what you're signing, don't ever sign it. I don't care whether it's your child putting it in front of you or a trusted nephew. Don't sign it unless you feel really confident as to what you were signing. And you should always be able to ask for advice from outside sources. If they say, no, you don't need the advice of anybody, well, I think that's a red herring. That means get the advice of somebody else, just to make sure you know what you're signing. I can't tell you how many times I have a case in front of me that involves a deed or some other type of document, a power of attorney even, where the person really didn't know what they were signing, they didn't appreciate what they were signing, and it's led to all kinds of problems later on with respect to the division of assets or the selling of a property or whatnot. So that's out there, and you know, if you're a daughter or a son or somebody who has the care of a parent, make sure that they understand what they're signing as well, because maybe in 5 years, when you know things turn out where you know you're not getting along with your sister or your brother at that time, well, they're going to question that signing, and that, you know, and then they're going to question the legal ramifications of that signing, and that'll come in front of the court. So advice to all: make sure everybody knows what they're signing and what they're doing. I'm sure that's obvious. You probably don't need to hear it from the judge, but that's kind of the stuff.
Oh, it's a very timely reminder, and certainly not just for the elderly population. I think there's enough good scammers and frauders out there that all of us need to be very careful in those respects. So tell us a little about jury duty, maybe, Judge Barrett, and how who has to serve jury duty, and are there age limits to jury duty? And if we get called, for instance, during the pandemic, are we required to do our jury duty, etc.?
Well, no. No, there is no jury duty, and no, you don't have to serve if you are over the age of 70. That being said, I do get jurors who are over the age of 70 because they go to the county and say, I would be happy to be a juror. and you are qualified to be a juror if you're over the age of 70. So if you get the notice of jury service and you're over 70, you don't have to serve. You can put on the card, I'm over 70 and I don't have, and I'm not going to serve. That being said, you can still come in and serve as a juror. Some of the best jurors I've had, in fact, have been people over 70. There's an invaluable amount of experience that, elderly individuals have. They bring common sense. They bring their experiences to the courtroom, and that's what we want them to do. We don't want them to bring prejudice or bias, and I think that for the most part they don't. They bring their brains. They bring their ability to evaluate and analyze things, and they can compare that to life's lessons and experiences that they've had. So during the pandemic, no one needs to serve as a juror. We are not impaneling juries yet in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We will soon. It's going to be a very, very difficult task. So I don't know how successful we're going to be, but we need to start. We need to start moving cases. We need to start having people back in the courtrooms and administering to the task of bringing cases to trial and administering justice. Jury service is required from everybody. It's one of the things that you don't have a choice in the United States. It's not a choice, it's a requirement. The only way you can get out of it is if you have some type of medical or other type of real serious issue where you can't do it. Typically, I might let someone out because of a trip where they bought the tickets 6 months ago and they got the jury service notice after that. I might let them out of their jury service for that day, but I wouldn't let them out of their obligation to serve as a juror within the 3-year period. You must serve as a juror, or you're eligible to serve as a juror every 3 years. I've never had a repeat customer for somebody who's been on 2 juries involving me, but I've had many people on juries who have served as jurors before. Now that can be a problem sometimes because they might be tainted, they might bring their own memories of how one case was conducted and sort of put those thoughts, those concerns onto the case that they're presently being asked to sit as a juror on. That would be inappropriate. So I have to make sure that that juror knows that this is a new case, a new experience, and they're only to apply the law as I direct them and not what they heard in the last trial. But those problems are easily cured. In any event, I have a problem with that for a little bit here, because we're not having jury trials quite yet.
Thank you. I've got a few other questions, but I would also like to give other members of the panel an opportunity. So Angela or Joan or Jean, anyone else have a question for Judge Barrett?
I have a question.
Please.
Okay, so in my career, I worked with a lot of people who had mental health issues, who had addiction issues, and who also got involved with the criminal justice system. And I was wondering, from your perspective, have you seen any changes in alternatives to incarceration and options available to courts and judges when people are accused of crimes and they also suffer from other issues that could not necessarily be improved by a prison sentence?
Oh, that's a loaded question, so to speak, but it's a great question. First of all, in the criminal setting, I think of the majority that I've seen of the defendants in that setting have some sort of mental illness or some sort of drug dependency or alcohol dependency. It's not a new problem. It's happened for quite a long time. I do think there are so many resources out there for people with drug dependency, people with alcohol dependency, or mental illness that they can take advantage of. The problem is getting them there. So what's the method that we use to get them there? Well, you could put them on probation after a crime's been committed, but a lot of times that's not enough because a drug addict or alcoholic or something, they have a very difficult time in resisting, those hours of the day where they're not being structured, where they don't have the structure that they probably need. So what do? You know, I've had mothers stand up in court and say, do not let my daughter, you know, out of this courtroom. I want her to go to jail. I want her to go to, that she wanted her daughter to go to jail because she knew that's the only place the daughter wasn't going to have drugs available to her and take them. So each case is different. You handle each one differently. I am of the opinion that rehabilitation, drug rehabilitation, alcohol rehabilitation is really first and foremost in many, many individuals who commit crime. That's why they're committing the crimes. I mean, and so if you can, you know, if we get to the problem, we can prevent the incarceration a little bit later. That being said, sometimes incarceration is going to help. Help the individual. It protects the community. Justice of incarceration, and sometimes we don't. None of us have a choice. Sometimes mandatory minimum sentences require that we incarcerate people. But on the you know, I think there's a lot of resources available for individuals if we can get them there. The biggest problem that I've seen with the COVID-19 complications is we can't get them there. We can't, number one, we can't contact these individuals or the individual places that provide these services because they don't have staff on who are there every day to take the call. So I just had a probation case the other day. The individual really needed to be inpatient, really needed to get alcohol and drug counseling, etc. We didn't have a choice. We had to let him go. We had to, you know, it was a probation violation. I wasn't going to hold him. I had to let him go, but I begged him, essentially begged him. I didn't really, but I implored, you know, his attorney and probation to make sure that he's, you know, he hears from everybody the next day and the next day and the next day until we find a bed for him, until we find a facility for him. And as it turns out, we did. But I was nervous about that because that individual had, you know, gone back to a horrible drug, fentanyl, which is not only highly addictive, but it kills. And it was a worry to me, but we didn't have a choice because we couldn't get him in anywhere. Now we finally got him in somewhere. You know, so but judges are placed, we are faced with difficult decisions on that. So should I just incarcerate him? Should I just say, no, you violated your probation, I'm gonna hold you? Well, I wouldn't normally hold that person in a normal non-COVID setting. So because of COVID, do I hold them? You know, it's a tough evaluation and we go through it every day. And I'm not saying, you know, we don't, I think we get it right. I think we get it right most of the time.
Great.
Thank you.
We probably have time for one or two more quick questions. Angela or Jean, did you have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
Because you're doing things differently during COVID, do you think those changes in how the law is being implemented will continue after?
That's a good question. And I don't know, well, it's not changes in the law, so to speak. There has been SJC decisions, Supreme Judicial Court decisions that allow us to release individuals not normally be released. There was a presumption of release for people who have been arrested, who have only been charged with a specific type of crime. That would be, we would be presumed, when they come in front of us, we would say, no, you fall under the presumption of release, we'll release you. If you didn't fall into that presumption, you still had to go through the evaluation of, okay, you know, what are the factors that we need to consider to release them, or should we just keep them incarcerated until the time of their trial? So, but do I think, so the attitudes that the district attorney has of various counties, the attitudes of judges and of defense attorneys, I think has changed a little bit, because I think the recidivism rate of those people that we've let out, I think is pretty low. And so maybe one of the effects is we don't hold so many people, you know, on bail. We lower levels of bail so that less people are incarcerated pre-trial. Maybe that's one of the effects. I don't really know. We won't really know for a while. I mean, it's still not over and we're still hearing those motions, but it's a good question. It's a good thought. out of something horrible, you learn new lessons. And maybe the lesson is we're incarcerating too many people pre-trial. We are a country we are one of the countries in the world that incarcerates more individuals. We are the highest incarcerating country in the world. I think we have 4.4% of the world's population, and we incarcerate 22%. I can't remember what the figure was. I had it in front of me a while ago. The point is, we incarcerate a lot of individuals. That's the way our system works. I don't know. I don't find fault with it, but we do. But why are all the other countries around the world able to incarcerate less percentages of people? Maybe we're learning that what they do can work. I don't know.
Great. Thank you very much. I have a sort of a fun last question for Judge Barrett, because we are getting close to time here. Judge, how does sort of a regular guy from Concord, Mass, maybe not so regular, you were captain of the football team, and for those who may be surprised to hear, Judge Barrett and I were at the high school at the same time, but not the same year. But how does a regular guy from Concord end up getting himself appointed to the Massachusetts Superior Court?
First of all, you're not that young than I am. Right? He's right there. He's right near me, I should say, in age and in attitude about our wonderful towns. We both had a terrific time. Carlisle High School is an amazing school, and we are really lucky to have the resources that we have at the lower school level in our towns, and then at the high school level. My wife sells real estate, and the biggest selling point for real estate in Carlisle and Concord is our school systems. That's why a lot of people move here, and I give them real credit. And so hopefully, they'll get back to, real classes and education in a personal way that Concord and Carlisle have been known for. But we got to do it safely, and obviously, we're working towards that. But I will say, a regular person, I don't know about that. I might have been a little rambunctious and a little bit crazier in my younger year. But getting to be a judge is a long process. I went through 8 interviews until I finally got to the governor's desk. And you have to pass, go through security checks. You have to be vetted by various groups of attorneys that you've worked against or with. You'll get recommendations. Some attorneys get negative feedback from those they've had trials against, and therefore they're not able to become a judge because they're, don't have the demeanor or what have you. It's a long process. It's something I will never go through again.
You don't have to.
But
do only lawyers become judges, or are there other professions where people become judges?
No, I think for the most part, the days of non-lawyers being judges are done. I think many years ago, you didn't necessarily have to be a lawyer, but I can't remember when that might have been. You have to, and you have to have trial experience, and you can't sit in a trial. If you're going to be a trial court judge, you have to have some kind of trial experience. You have to have tried cases during your career as a lawyer. So naturally, those of us who are lucky enough to be appointed a judge, most of us have experience as a former assistant district attorney or a former assistant attorney general, or have tried cases at the district court or superior court level. And that's something I would say is almost a necessity if you want to be a trial court judge.
Great. Okay, well, I think we're just about done with this segment. So Judge Barrett, thank you very, very much for your time and your insight into what goes on in the court system. We really appreciate it. And hopefully the seniors in Concord and Carlisle have learned a little bit of good information today from you. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure. I'm sure I'll get a call next year from Angela. I can do it. I really am. someone out there in need of legal advice, I would just simply say this: call the court. Call the court, the clerk's office, and ask them for the number or the contact information of a legal service that you can contact. They might have a reference service or something like that. But don't be paralyzed by a lack of knowledge. All you have to do is call the court, and they can refer you to the right spot. Or you can go online and Google Concord District Court or Woburn Superior Court. Those are the courts that if you're in Carlisle or Concord, you would take advantage of. Maybe Lowell Superior Court as well. So with that, it's not hopeless. It's a lot easier than you think. Don't hesitate to do it. There's a lot of nice judges out there that aren't going to yell at you if you come in front of them. Horrible experience. So I encourage you all to take advantage of the system, the court system that we have. It's the best in the world. You won't be disappointed.
Right. Thank you. Thank you again, Judge Barrett. It's great to see one of the local boys out doing something great for his community. So thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Good to see you all. Everybody stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, we're going to move on to the Angela and Joan show, and I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about some announcements and activities and programs that the Council on Aging is offering for our seniors. So I guess I'll turn it over to you, Angela.
Well, I just want to start with a brief information for anybody that, well, we're getting some feedback here. So I guess if other people can mute themselves, that might be helpful. So our newsletter for September, October does have information in case you are struggling financially. We want people to understand there are a lot of resources available. As Joe mentioned earlier, the Friends are helping us. There is the Neighborhood Fund, and that is administered by the 3 churches. And in terms of food support, there's a lot available. The high school is still allowing people to pick up food. You can apply for SNAP, which is the old food stamps. And you can also, we have a relationship with Gaining Ground, which is a agricultural nonprofit in Concord, and we can add people to that who are struggling, and we want to make sure that people realize that there are food resources available. So possibly if you are having a hard time, you can use some of these services and save your money to put towards your bills for your mortgage or your rent. So we just care very much that people know that those services are there. I'll start with just some of the events. We're going to do another drive-by, although this time it's going to be Subs and Serenade. So we're working with Ferns, and on September 9th at 11:30. Doug, I don't know if you can drive over from Concord, but maybe you can get your parents to come. You can get a 5-inch sub from Ferns that we will give out at the fire station. And you get a choice, and the choices are in the newsletter. And Kenny Seltzer, who lives at Village Court, is going to be playing his guitar and making wonderful music. So as you go by, go slow, park on the side, listen for a few minutes before you move on. We also are very lucky to have Frank Rigg, who was the curator for the JFK Museum in South Boston, is going to do a talk for us on October 5th at 1 p.m. via Zoom. And we will be doing our flu clinic with the Board of Health. It's going to be early in October, and they are working diligently with the Emerson to find out how that's going to be done. I think we're going to do a drive-by, so we're going to try to keep everybody socially distant. And for Medicare, the Medicare open enrollment, as far as I know now, will start on October 15th and go to December 7th. And Clyde Kessel, who is our Shine counselor and is currently filling in for Concord as well, we'll be doing a talk on everything we need to know to make sure we're getting the most for the payments we're making, and that the coverage is what we need for our own health needs. And that will be done via Zoom as well on October 27th. So Joan, what do you have?
Hi. I wanted to review some of the things that we offer on a regular basis, and then highlight a couple of other things as well. So I'm sure most people know that we have transportation available for people, and you can call our transportation line to schedule a ride, 978-371-6690. They're available to seniors, adults with disabilities in Carlisle. And during COVID, while we were taking people to medical appointments and things like that, we're now accepting rides for non-medical reasons as well. I want everyone to know that the Carlisle Neighbor Response Team continues to help seniors in need with delivering groceries, pharmacy items, library books, and other things that they may need. And you can call them Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5. And this is a free service done by dedicated Carlisle volunteers. The number to call is 978-254-0508. Other things that we have is if you need a mask, we do have masks, and you can call the Council on Aging and we will provide you with a mask. Also, if you need any kind of medical equipment, regardless of your age, you do not need to be a senior. We have a supply of medical equipment, and you can call us and we will have it delivered to you. So that's also a free service that we provide. And I mentioned the Concord Carlisle Community Chest when I talked about the new social worker and the funding that they provided to help support that position. So they've been very helpful to the town and to the Council on Aging, and they are having their annual campaign starting on October 1st. Their goal is to raise $500,000 for nonprofit human service organizations in Concord and Carlisle. So I just want to encourage people who are able to potentially contribute to that, because it goes back and helps the community and helps vulnerable people. And in order to do that, you can go on the website, cccommunitychest.org, or you can call 978-369-5250.
Thanks. And then we're going to move on and do some Partners in Rhyme. So Patty Russo is going to do a senior poetry Zoom exercise, and it's going to meet once a month for 4 months, starting in October on the 14th. So if anybody's interested in signing up for that, if you like poetry or you'd like to learn to like poetry, give us a call at the COA, and our number is 978-371-2895. We're also doing a special memoir project, which we started with a grant for Chana 15. We finished that grant with 10 participants, and the Friends have generously allowed us to do another grant of 10 people. And so if you have a story, and Doug, maybe you want to talk to your parents about this, if they would like to spend an hour on the phone with Nancy Showett West and tell them a little bit about their life. Maybe they want to talk about before you were born, or maybe they want to talk about some trip they took, or some part of their work life that was really interesting. And then Nancy will transcribe it and make it into a story, give it back to them. They get to review it and make edits and changes. And then she'll give them 5 copies of that story so they can share it with family and friends. And the people that have done it have really enjoyed it. A lot of them talked to neighbors and friends and family beforehand, saying, what would you like to know? Or what do you think would be interesting? And people have really found out things that they didn't know about their family. So that's great. We continue.
Angela, we've been trying to get my parents to do that program for a few years now, but like I think many of their generation, they're rather modest about their accomplishments and past. So it's been a bit of a struggle, but I appreciate the encouragement, and I think it's a wonderful idea. I know we as the younger generation would love to have them do it, as I'm sure many other folks would love to have some of their family history put in writing and preserved. So thank you for that.
This is just it's a mini memoir, so it's not the full big story that Nancy usually does. So maybe you can convince them to do something short that wouldn't be a long-term project. And some of the people have started doing it and then moved on and done more themselves. We're trying to do as much of our programming as we can online. So our French conversation group is continuing. We have 2 knitting groups, one that knits on their own and one that knits for the homeless in Boston. And the knitting group that is called Gleason Knitters meets online through Zoom on September 4th at 10:15. And KISS, which is the group that knits for Cathedral on the Common, is meeting on September 17th through Zoom at 7:30 at night. Joan.
Okay, I wanted to go over a little bit more of our virtual programming, which, you know, basically is designed to help people connect with each other and to kind of manage the feelings of isolation and lack of connection that people are experiencing during COVID. We have our community book club, and that's through the library, and you can either go on the library's website, or you can call 978-369-4898 to get the Zoom link to the meeting and learn more about that. Also at the library, they are having curbside pickup. So again, you can call the library or go on their website for the information of the hours and the dates. And like I mentioned earlier, if you are not able to pick up the books yourself, you can ask the Carlisle Neighbor Response Team and they will pick up the books that you want for you. So that's a really good service for people to continue reading. We have a poetry Zoom where it's led by one of our residents, and it's poetry readings, reactions, discussions. So if you're interested in that, you can call the COA and we will give you more information on that. And then we have virtual senior moments, which is an excellent opportunity to connect with people. I've joined some of those Zoom coffee meetings, and they're really nice, and we have some regular people and some new people, and those are really popular, and you can call the COA for the link to that. Also, we have a digital coffee and conversation, which is sometimes led by Jean Bagnashi, and sometimes Shishi Van Inwigen. Yes, and that's also a way for people to connect, and you know, if they can't meet for coffee at Ferns, they meet for coffee online, and people seem to really enjoy that. So we welcome anybody new to join those and to ask us more about it. I join when I can. I've invited our new social worker, Carol, to join when she can, so you can get to meet her as well.
Great. Jean, do you want to tell us what the Friends are up to besides giving us money to help our seniors?
Hi. Yes. First, I'd like to thank the COA for all that they've done to cope with the change in programming, et cetera, due to COVID. And I'm happy to report on the upcoming cultural events on Zoom. This is the 17th year of the Friends of the COA and the Friends of the Library to sponsor these events. They're always interesting, informative, and pertinent. So the first kicking off in September is Immigration with Jason Giannetti. He's spoken to us many times in the past. He's an immigration attorney in practice for 17 years, and he is lecturing on immigration and the history of immigration in the US, and a review of the turbulent times that immigration has faced in the last 4 years. The first lecture is September 23rd. It's a historical overview of US immigration law and policy at 1:30. And the second, part 2, is Immigration in the Age of Trump, and that is on September 30th at 1:30. So that's September, and guaranteed to be interesting. He's a good speaker, and the issues are certainly pertinent. Next is American Music of the 20th Century with pianist Sivan Etege. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but it's a 2-part series on American music, which will explore the origins of jazz at the beginning of the 20th century and classical composers who were inspired by this new art form. So an overview of 100 years of American classic music will also be provided. Sivan appears frequently as a recitalist, chamber musician, lecturer, giving many performances and presentations each year to audiences ranging from young children to senior citizens. So that should be very interesting. Those two programs will start in October, the first being October 21st at 1:30, classical music inspired by jazz, and on October 28th, again at 1:30, part 2, American music of the 20th century. I've noticed that in our different Zoom conversations, there are many, many people who are interested in music and are passionate about all forms. So I hope that people will take advantage of the music series as well as the immigration series. Then for those programs, to register for these live Zoom events, you need to visit the library website or email info@gleasonlibrary.org, or you can call it 978-369-4898. And ending the series is the Cold War with Gary Highlander, who's a presidential historian. And his lectures will be focusing on the Cold War, the period of intense political and military tension between the US and the Soviet Union. He'll talk about the flashpoints, and he's a very entertaining speaker and just full of information that I think helps us understand sometimes present day events. So again, you need to call the library. These Dr. Highlander lectures will be recorded on October 9th via Zoom. So please do call the library or the COA for links to those events. And again, the Friends are happy to support with the library these cultural events, but please remember that the Friends depend on donations to help support not only the cultural, but also the many vital programs of the COA, especially now during the pandemic. The Friends start their annual drive late fall, but are happy to accept donations anytime. And those may be mailed to the Friends of the Carlisle Council on Aging, or FOCA, at P.O. Box 38, Carlisle, Mass. 01741. And the community has been very generous, and we hope that the generosity will continue in these uncertain times. So happy to be helping the COA and all that they do. We're lucky to have them.
Thank you, Jean. Joan, do you have some more?
Oh, some more from the newsletter?
Yes.
Okay, I do. Let's see. What do I have? Yes, so these are just things that are coming up a little bit later in the fall that we want to just let you know about. We have a brush lettering workshop, which is going to be 5 different dates on Zoom. And you can learn how to write in calligraphy. We have a high school student who's actually going to be doing the workshop for us. And you will get a kit of material that you can pick up, and you can learn how to do the brush lettering. One of our staff actually did it and said it was relaxing, therapeutic, and a very positive experience. So look for that coming up in November and December. And we also have a musical ventriloquist, Kevin Driscoll, which is going to have to be on Zoom this year. And so everybody's invited to that, and that's going to be on November 9th in the afternoon. And you can call the COA for a link to that. And it's also going to be featured, obviously, in our upcoming newsletter. Angela, do you have anything else?
Yep, we do. We have just to talk a little bit about the exercise classes that are at the fire station. So we will go with a pilot through mid-September, and then after that, we hope to add 2 more classes. So the pilot is Zumba, line dancing, fitness, cardio. And then after that, we hope to add Tai Chi and Sama. So if people would like to exercise in person, socially distanced in the fire station with the air flowing through when the weather allows, they can just call us at the COA and we will take registration. Right now, our fitness class is full, but we are taking a wait list for that, but all the other classes do have room. So if you're hearing this and you'd like to join, please just give us a call. We're not looking at your driver's license to see how old you are. You're welcome to come and join us. We will continue doing distant Reiki, haircuts on the go. We're also using the fire station for that, and that will be on September 14th and the 26th. And we've moved our podiatry clinic to Dr. Gregorian's office in Bedford. So it's a beautiful office, and that will be September 1, 8, and 14. So if you'd like to participate and you need your nails cut, just give us a call at the COA and we will handle that. So Chuck, are we getting close in time? Chuck, you're muted.
We're good. We're on 56 minutes, Angela. You can put a couple more in.
Okay, so we'll just quickly give a few informational points before we sign off. We do have File a Lice. If you do not have one on your fridge or you want to update it and you've updated it too many times to use the same form, give us a call at the COA. We have yellow dots to put on your car to make sure that if you have a pre-existing condition that you would like a first responder to know about, say you have diabetes or you have a heart condition or a pacemaker or you have a severe allergic reaction to certain things, come in and either call us and come in, or we'll mail it to you if necessary, to get a form to put in your car and also a sticker on your car so the first responders know that you have the information with you. Finally, if you are not volunteering for the COA but you have time, please let us know. We're always welcome and able to use volunteers. And with no further ado, I'll see if Joan has any final remarks.
Just to let people know that, you know, somebody is in the office at the COA every day, able to answer the phone, take your calls, register you for programs, or just to talk with you. So even though some people are working remotely, we basically have the phones covered, you know, Monday through Friday during the hours that town hall is open. So please don't hesitate to call us. Even if you just want to hear a friendly voice and have a conversation, that's what we're here for. And because we don't have the in-person interactions that we're all used to, it's, I think, very important for us to communicate by phone, and we love hearing from you. So that's all.
Angela, I just wanted to say on behalf of the town that we obviously would like to thank all of the work that Joan and you and Jean and the friends are doing for the seniors in our community. And to echo what everybody has been saying today, that these are very challenging times, but we're all looking for whatever good that we can pull out of it. And as I said earlier, there's been so many acts of caring and kindness amongst the residents here in Carlisle, and I think it's important for residents to know that that you folks are here, their neighbors and their community is here to support and help them during these difficult times. So with that, I would like to thank again all of you for participating today. Joan, it was a pleasure to meet you, and I hope to meet you in person sometime soon. And thanks for for joining the team here in Carlisle. Angela, as always, thank you for all of the work that you do. So many seniors rely on seeing you and hearing your voice and talking to you. Seeing you and the friends have done so much for the community. And of course, I'd like to thank our special guest, Judge William Barrett, for his service to the community and state, and his great information that he was able to pass on to us all today. So thank you, everyone. And that'll conclude today's edition of the Carlisle Community Forum.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you all. See you next month.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.